All right, the heavy stuff. Professional sports leagues, no strangers to controversies surrounding their owners. You go back to the workplace for the Mavericks in 2018. They were investigated for sexual harassment under Mark Cuban. Donald Sterling forced to sell the Clippers using racial slurs in 2014. Marge Schott had to give up the Cincinnati Reds. Daniel Snyder, long list of issues. NBA yesterday handed down a $10 million fine, a one-year ban to the Suns owner, Robert Sarver. He is accused of racism and misogyny, and it was enough that the commissioner, Adam Silver, said, I'm going to suspend you for a year. The decision to suspend him makes sense because obviously there's no place in the workforce for that kind of conduct. But the history of professional sports, you have to wonder if this is going to change. With Donald Sterling, it did. You also had Jerry Richardson in Carolina, and Marge Schott. But it's kind of rare when you say, hey, give up the team. But the punishment may do a little bit for the public image of the NBA. But I wonder, you have a WNBA team there in Phoenix, and you have the NBA team there, and he is the owner of both of them. So now it feels like the NBA is saying, this is on you, the players. What do you want to do? You want to boycott? Do you want to raise an objection to this? Let's go back to Donald Sterling. And the big difference between Robert Sarver and Donald Sterling was there's audio tape. There's conversations between Donald Sterling and his girlfriend, and that she was of African-American and Mexican descent, and just said, hey, I don't want you hanging around these black basketball players, including Magic Johnson. It was caught on tape. But keep in mind, Barack Obama weighed in on this back then. LeBron James did. Kobe Bryant did. Magic Johnson did. Greg Popovich did. Michael Jordan did. Will you have the same kind of force going after Sarver? So he's accused of using the N-word multiple times, but no players called for Sarver's ouster, that he should give up the team. I don't know if many people outside the media in Phoenix raised much of an objection to all of this. We heard it, but I felt like people just kind of moved on. But the big difference is if you would have had Robert Sarver saying this on, with a phone call or camera phone, then it would be different. Because it feels like when you hear it or you see it, it changes your opinion, which I don't know why, but it does. Like, oh my God, he really did say that. Robert Sarver is still going to be the owner of his team in a year. $10 million fine, that's the most you can fine him. But I'm surprised Adam Silver didn't make this a little bit more forceful here. Why are you keeping him? Like, tell me the upside to keeping this guy. And I know there's diversity in their front office. GM, African-American, their head coach, African-American. But there's probably going to be more diversity in that front office. But why keep Robert Sarver? I don't understand the upside. And if you're an owner, do you want Robert Sarver in the league? And I know a lot of these owners probably get nervous of, hey, I don't want somebody taking my team away from me. And when you become an owner of a team, a professional sports team, it's a whole lot different. You can be a billionaire and nobody knows who you are. There's a lot of billionaires. But you know Robert Sarver because he owns the Phoenix Suns. Mark Cuban owns the Mavs. Shad Khan owns Jacksonville. That's why you know them. Paulie uses a line from Billions that you are knighted when you own a team. When you become an owner, you're knighted in the sports world. And this is what's different. Robert Sarver has a team, probably has lived by his own rules for a long time, and probably thought, hey, I can say whatever I want to say. Now, he said that he was quoting people when he used the N-word. Still can't use it. When you're saying things to women, hey, it was meant in jest. I don't know if the people on the receiving end thought that. But if the players weren't upset about this, the players didn't say anything about this, maybe that factors into what Adam Silver did or didn't do. But maybe it's coming, because I would get the feeling, I have no inside knowledge of this, I have no source on this, this could be the start of him losing his team. Maybe, and if you're the NBA, why wouldn't you kind of nudge towards that, get a new owner, and you're going to get more money for that franchise. And you get rid of Robert Sarver. This isn't the first time his name has come up. This has been systemic. And it's been no secret. I think it's a secret because you're not in the major media cities. You're not in New York or L.A. Donald Sterling was in L.A. running the Clippers, and he was running them into the ground for decades. And we always laughed at the Clippers. And poor Elgin Baylor would be there when they would have the lottery night, and we would laugh at the Clippers. Now, all of a sudden, we look at the Clippers differently. You're not going to lose your team because you're losing. You lose it because you said something. And we have it, on tape. Robert Sarver, hopefully the NBA looks at this, that you're dealing with an NBA and a WNBA team, and he's the owner of them. Now you got misogyny and you got racism. What the hell are you waiting for? It seems like there's enough there that if you decided to move it in that direction, that I always think, is there enough for a suspension? Okay, is there enough for you to have to be forced to sell your team? And I don't know if more comes out. Now, they had 70 people, I think, that sat down. There were over 100 people who didn't sit down for an interview. And they may think, well, why get involved in this? But 70 did. And you have a lot of people backing up somebody's claim. And the commissioner decided that it's 1 year and $10 million. $10 million is nothing. The 1 year, he's still going to be the owner. What? He can't watch the game from the arena? I can't sit courtside and let everybody see me? Hey, I don't get to stand up and wave? I don't get to high-five the players? Daniel Snyder's in the south of France. He still runs the Commanders. I'm going to guess he's still watching the games. But Adam Silver, he rules with sort of a velvet hammer. Different than David Stern, his predecessor. But I would imagine that's the energy is moving towards, all right, now what do we do? How do we get Robert Sarver out? Yeah, Paul.
It's funny. I looked at the statement from Robert Sarver, the Suns owner, and there's a new thing you do when you get punished for something. You both partially accept the punishment, but then don't really accept that you did what you were punished for. It's an interesting dance. Quote, for the Suns and Mercury organizations, that begins with me, responsibility. While I agree with some of the particulars of the NBA's report, I would like to apologize for my words and actions that offended employees. I take full responsibility for what I have done. But then he also goes on to, I disagree with some of the findings in the report.
I would just like to ask him, why do you think you deserve to keep this team? And are you fighting this? If you're called a racist, you fighting this? Yeah, Tom.
When it comes to removing an owner, does Adam Silver have exclusive decision with that? Is it a 2/3 vote? Do we know? I could reach out to the NBA. I'm curious if that's a unanimous 3/4 vote. Who among the owners? How does that work?
I don't know. Why don't you? I'm
going to reach out.
Why don't you look at? I would imagine you would have, X number of owners who would have to vote, in favor of getting rid of you. Yeah, Paul.
It has to be a 3/4 vote of the ownership. 75% or more of the ownership had to vote to remove an owner.
Yeah.
And the commissioner can put that together, just like with the NFL. The NFL, if the commissioner puts that forth, then the owners vote.
Yeah. Yeah, Marv.
Is it going to be more pressure on the Suns players?
Yes.
Or the NBA itself? Like, that's the only...
I think the players. I mean, Chris Paul.
Former Player Association president.
Yes. I think it puts them in an unfair situation because now those players are going to be asked, you going to do anything? Hey, do you want to play for him? Remember all the players that said, we don't want to play for the Clippers. We don't want to play for Donald Sterling. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but you do now put the onus on the players, and that's not fair. Yeah, Mark.
And Chris Paul was on the Clippers during the Donald Sterling situation, so he's been through this before, unfortunately. So he's probably got to.
But everybody agreed that Donald Sterling needed to go. There wasn't a dissenter there, I don't think, that said he shouldn't. I don't think he should lose his team. It felt like everybody was like, yeah, of course he's got to go. The president is weighing in. Jordan's weighing in. LeBron and Kobe. I haven't heard anybody. And maybe they will speak up. Yeah, Paulie.
If you go back in the time after the Donald Sterling story broke, I think this was like 2014, there was a period of time where you weren't sure what the new commissioner, Adam Silver, was going to do. There's a couple stories out there. The Warriors plan to boycott the Clippers before Donald Sterling's lifetime ban, led by Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala, and David Lee. They were going to boycott their next game against the Clippers.
Yeah, it's going to be on the players. WNBA and the NBA. Going to be on the players. Season gets underway in a month.